जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम। और इस यूट्यूब चैनल पर जिस तरह हम हमेशा मुख्तलिफ मौजू डिस्कस करते रहते हैं पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट के हवाले से, पाकिस्तान के दूसरे स्पोर्ट्स के हवाले से और लोकली काफ़ी चीज़ों को डिस्कस करते रहते हैं। लेकिन अब सोचा कि कुछ इंटरनेशनल एस्पेक्ट्स को भी इन्वॉल्व करें और थोड़ी सी लैंग्वेज को भी चेंज करें, ग्लोबल ऑडियंस को भी इन्वॉल्व करें, ग्लोबल एक्सपर्ट्स को भी इन्वॉल्व करें। तो आज मेरे साथ मौजूद हैं एक ऐसे क्रिकेट राइटर, एक ऐसे क्रिकेट ब्लॉगर, एक ऐसे क्रिकेट सपोर्टर जो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में रहते हैं लेकिन हैं पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट के बहुत बड़े सपोर्टर। मैं बात कर रहा हूँ सोशल मीडिया पर जो लोग एक्टिव है वो तो यकीनी तौर पर वाकिफ होंगे इनसे। डेनिस फ्रेडमैन बड़े अच्छी सपोर्ट करते हैं पाकिस्तान की और हर जगह पाकिस्तान के लिए चेयर करते रहते हैं और कहीं कहीं तो ही बिकम्स मोर पाकिस्तानी देन एक्चुअल पाकिस्तानी। सो वेलकम डेनिस, एंड आई विल straightforward start with my first question. What makes you support Pakistan cricket and Pakistan cricket team? You are an Australian. Why don't you support Australian team as you support Pakistan?
Because they're not as much fun.
What is so interesting about Pakistan team?
I stumbled across them by accident, because obviously I supported Australia. I still support Australia, of course. But there's no law that says you can't follow more than one team. I'm not a hyper nationalist, so I follow the things that keep me amused, and nothing is more amusing than Pakistani cricket for so many reasons.
So what keeps you connected to Pakistan? Of course, you said it's very interesting, it's very amusing. So can you just more elaborate your connection with Pakistan team?
Yeah, so, I don't know where it all started, but growing up as a kid, Pakistan was the mystery team. We didn't know much about Pakistan in Australia. I grew up as a kid, as a child of the 80s, and a bit like you, late 70s maybe, and we we didn't see much of Pakistan, and my earliest memory of Pakistan was Javed Miandad holding the bat over Dennis Lilly at the Wacker, threatening to hit him over the head. And, from that moment on, you just go, yeah, these guys are fun. And, there was crazy guys like Abdul Qadir, God bless his soul. And then in 92, you came to my town, Melbourne, and you won a World Cup with Imran, your best mate Imran Khan. And so, we got to know that generation of heroes, and it stuck around. And then every time you would come to Australia, there would be all these new players and exotic names of people we'd never heard of before, we couldn't pronounce. We had no understanding. This is all before T20, so there was no leagues. The only time you got to see these players were the Benson and Hedges Tri-Series Cup, or maybe a 3-series test match here in Australia, because when we played in Pakistan, there was no cable television in Australia, so it wasn't on TV. So you didn't know any of these people. There was such a mystery, and there was such a small Pakistani contingent of expats, obviously, in Australia. It wasn't a big community. And I think then T20 really exploded and brought us all these into our lounge rooms, all these names, all these players, all these skills. And you know me, I'm one for chaos and a little bit of disruption. And everything about Pakistan is chaos and disruption. So, I don't know. I think that the one thing that really got me was Mickey Arthur, and what Mickey Arthur did, especially when 2017 you won the Mace, the Test Mace, and you tied the series 2-2 in England. And Misbah did his push-up boards.
In 2016.
2016, yeah. And Yunus Khan made his double 100 at Old Trafford in the last match. And you got to number one. And that was on the back. People forget. You got to number one in the world on the back of having to play in Dubai for 10 years, of having, the Pakistani tax, the PCB office got raided by the tax office. You had all the match fixing scandals. You had the Khayyam report still hanging around. You had all these things going on, and Australian cricket doesn't have any of that. Well, not back in those days. And so I was attracted to all of that, and I just enjoyed the I don't know, there's a sense of maverickism, if that's even a word, with Pakistan. And so then I got lucky. I came over in 2017 and made the documentary Dennis Does Pakistan, which only happened because I got drunk in a pub in Sydney with a friend, and we were watching the semi-final of the Champions Trophy where you beat England. And I said to my friend, and I tweeted at the time, if Pakistan beat India in the final, I'm coming to Pakistan, having no thought that it would ever happen. And then it happened. And so I had to come. And so I came, and then I got to, you fall in love with the place, right? When I came in 2017, it was still seen from, the Gora community is not a safe place to go. It wasn't on anyone's holiday destinations. It was still, the smell of Osama bin Laden being caught in Abbottabad was still around, and all these things, right? And when I got there, it was none of that. All I felt was people thankful that I'd made the journey, people that enjoyed a laugh and humour like Australians. So I see Pakistanis and Australians as actually very similar. We're the underdog. We have, for Australia, the UK England is the bigger neighbour, and for you guys, India and whatnot. And then therefore we make fun of ourselves. We're very comfortable in our own skins. We enjoy hospitality of others. We appreciate good deeds, all the things that make us human. And when I came to Pakistan, I experienced all those things. And so it stuck. I don't know. And then for some reason, people enjoyed the fact that some Gora from Melbourne came. And so I made a lot of friends, and was enough to create some for Pakistan, to have an audience in my videos and documentary, and get to meet beautiful people like Fawad Alam. And live their life battling and waiting for the days when cricket will come home, and seeing the good times and the bad times, and just going on that journey. It's unique in world sport, I think. If I go back again to 2016, to be number one in the world in the second most popular sport in the world, where you haven't been able to play a match at home for 10 years, is mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. And so I think it's a greatest sporting story of the century, but no one talks about it.
So you also visited Pakistan twice, Pakistan on both occasions. In fact, on your first visit, you also got to interview Imran Khan as well. How was that experience, meeting a former captain who is now Prime Minister of Pakistan?
I interviewed Misbah in Lahore at his house, and I was very nervous because Misbah intimidates me. Got good posture, and he's fit, and he doesn't say much, but when he speaks, it cuts through and has authority. And yet, so when I went to Misbah's house, I was very nervous, and the crew were all very lackadaisical and not so worried. When we went to Banigala, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just it's a typical Karachi problem. Just got our electricity disconnected.
You went like this, and I thought, he's talking crap. So when we went to Banigala, I wasn't nervous at all. I thought, this is Imran Khan. I know who Imran Khan is. He's a politician at these days. I know exactly what I'm going to get. I'm going to get very scripted answers. He will smile a lot. He'll play up to the camera, which was the opposite of Misbah. Yet all the crew were really nervous because they're going to Imran Khan's house. And I think I realized for the first time the presence that Imran Khan has and the hold he has on quite a lot of the population in Pakistan. Whether you agree with his politics or not is another thing, but it's hard to argue that he's had such an impact on modern culture in Pakistan, whether it be leading the cricketers in '92, whether it be the cancer hospitals, whether it be standing up on the world stage, handing Aberdeen back, whatever it is, right? He's had impact. And but Imran was played out exactly as I expected. He smiled, he was open, he played a politician. He was very honest with me. lovely guy to talk to. He didn't play any levels, so there wasn't any sense that he is better than I or anything like that. We talked about his experiences in Australia as well. And to be honest, back then, 2017, he told me, if I become Prime Minister, I'm going to change the domestic cricket. I'm going to make it 6 teams like the Sheffield Shield, and he's done it. He's done exactly what he said he was going to do. So that was that. And then when I came back 2020 earlier this year for PSL 5, I felt like I didn't feel like I was going to a new place anymore. I felt like I was going to my second home. I had a lot of friends helping me to come over through cricket and through the media. And then, sitting in the press box and walking around the grounds. In the press box, everyone's your friend. The camaraderie is amazing in the Pakistani press boxes. You all support each other. There's a little bit of a divide between the old guys and the young guys. And in some grounds, they have two press boxes, like in Lahore. So you go Gaddafi. There's a press box for the old guys.
You have 2 press boxes?
Yeah, you have a press box for the old guys and a press box for the young guys. But everybody supports everybody. And then I went out into the streets. I wasn't in lockdown like the players. So I got to go to the streets. We went to Burns Road in Karachi. We went to Liberty Chowk in Lahore. We went around and Multan and explored through there and walked the streets and drank orange juice. And the people, the people just leave you to be. You can walk the streets, and even though, there was people that obviously knew who I was because they'd seen me on TV or followed me on social media, and now and then I remember one time someone pulled his motorbike over the road and blocked me, took his helmet off, and I thought, oh, what's going to happen? And he said, Dennis, bloody Gora, can I have an autograph? A selfie. He wanted a selfie. But most of the time, people just leave you alone. You're just a person. And I love that about Pakistan. Whereas in India, because I lived in India in the early 2000s, and if I was walking the streets in India, I would have 15 people following me because of the color of my skin. Whereas in Pakistan, no one cares. And I love that. So I felt like it was my second home. And because I'd been there before and because I'd, over the years, formed some wonderful relationships, it was like hanging out with my mates.
You mentioned about Bansod, visiting Bansod in Karachi. You must have tried some spicy food over there. How was your experience of, traditional spicy food of Karachi?
Every time I've been to Pakistan twice, and every time I come home, I'm skinnier, even though I eat more, because in Australia, we eat a lot of processed foods, but in Pakistan, everything is freshly cooked over the flame, and lots of vegetables and lots of juice and lots of fruit. So no chocolate, no ice cream, no alcohol, none of that crap. And so I love the diet in Pakistan. I really love the flavors that you guys cook with. I wish I could work it out how to do it in my house. I'm a massive, massive, massive fan of barbecue. So anything that's on the barbecue, meat or vegetables, and I don't care about the spice. I like the spice. So give it to me. If anyone wants to, if there's anyone in Melbourne who wants to teach me how to cook Pakistani food, please reach out and let me know. You're welcome to come to my house and teach me.
You also released a music track with the Pakistani band E-Sharp called Bloody Gora. What was the catch behind it? What was the idea behind Bloody Gora?
I released 2 tracks. We had Color Jora as well with Badnaam. So we did Color Jora with Badnaam and we did Bloody Gora with E-Sharp. And so the first one, so long story, but someone reached out to me before I came for PSL who I did not know. I had, you get the same on social media, someone sends you a message. And so I read this particular message and I get lots of messages and normally they're rude ones from India telling me to do something with a dog. But this one was, it said, Dennis, big fan, when you come to Karachi, I manage some rock bands. We would love to do a song with you. And I thought, this sounds like my kind of space. This is, again, disruption, a bit crazy. Absolutely, let's try it. And I didn't know these guys. So, I could have gone there and been abducted and held for ransom in Kabul after all this. I don't know, right? But I don't care. I'm going to try and make sure this works. And so we're talking, and then on WhatsApp, I got to meet Ahmed, who was the lead singer of E-Sharp. And he had a famous song called Oh Shabana. which was in Pepsi Battle of the Bands, and I think they came second or something. Oh, Shabana. So that was the song. And he said he found out I played guitar. And I said, so he gave me the chords, and he said, learn the chords. And when you come to Karachi, we'll go to our recording studio and we'll write a song to that music. And so we went to, this is the story, we went to Burns Road with some friends. You might know some of them. I don't know, Faizan, maybe you know some of my friends that were there. And we were sitting in the street with his guitar, with the friends, and we were singing Dil Dil Pakistan and all these kinds of things. And then someone filmed it and it ended up on all the TV stations. But then at about 3 o'clock in the morning, we went to the studio, and on the back of napkins, we wrote the words for Bloody Gora, just with all our friends. We were just making up lines and just throwing in words and being stupid. And then we filmed it. And then all of a sudden it appeared it went on Patari, and then it went on YouTube. And then it was trending on Patari, like number 1, number 2 for like 2 or 3 weeks. It went crazy. Yeah. And then the same guy that set me up with those guys, when I went to Lahore, they introduced me to Badnaam, and we did a version of Kala Jora, and we made a proper film clip and everything. We shut the street, and we put on costumes, and we played the doll, and we had a great time. So now not only am I a cricket tourist to Pakistan, I'm now also a rock star.
Really? Okay. Coming back to cricket, Dennis, how do you compare? You have covered Pakistan Super League. You have followed Pakistan Super League. Indian Premier League is also being held right now. How do you compare these two leagues? Because of course there are other leagues as well, but I'm asking comparison for these two leagues because both are from same region, both are from same cultures, and more or less from same sort of cricket fraternity. How do you compare these two leagues?
Yeah, you made an interesting comment that they're from the same cultures. I disagree with that, and let me come back to that in a minute. But firstly, on the quality of the cricket, there's no contest. The IPL is obviously a better competition in regards to the quality of the cricket. It has a stronger international player base and a higher caliber of international player. So it's hard to argue that the PSL today is a better competition in terms of raw cricket than the IPL. I think it would be a crazy person to argue that. But in terms of the cultures of the two leagues and what they're trying to achieve, they're very, very different. The PSL was established by Najam Sethi as a means to try and get cricket back into Pakistan. The IPL was established by Lalit Modi as a means to make everybody rich. Yeah. So, and I've had this discussion with Lalit Modi, and it's very interesting. I said to Lalit, I think the PSL holistically is actually a better league for cricket than the IPL because every team owner except for one, and I won't mention them, is in the PSL to try and do something good for Pakistanis, to either create opportunities for Pakistani youth, to create jobs in Pakistan through all the ancillary services and auxiliary things that need to be done. Back in the day, it was to try and get Pakistan back, cricket back home, and prove that you could hold a league in Pakistan. It was safe. Therefore, when we look forward 1 or 2 years for Australia to come or England to come, and without fail, except for one owner, they were all aligned in that vision, all of them. And you can see it play out now, even with, the PSL, the final few games are going to be played in November. And Multan Sultans are on top, and Ali Khan Tareen is the owner of Multan. And he said publicly, I don't want the trophy. I haven't won the trophy. In fact, his words were to me, I'm going to swear, but he said, I couldn't give a shit about the trophy. I want to play the final games because I want my kids to have more opportunities to be on TV and get opportunities to play in England or in the Caribbean or maybe in Australia and help bring wealth back, right? There's not one owner of the IPL teams who would have anything like that as a vision, not one. They're fighting over who's the broadcast partner, how much do I charge for ticketing at the gate. It's money, money, money and bling. And so culturally, totally disproportionate. And so in terms of which league in the world, all the leagues are the best ones. I used to say PSL and Big Bash because Big Bash was established with its primary focus to bring children and women into cricket. Now it's swung to become a money-making machine, and it's lost its charm. People don't watch it, and people aren't coming. The PSL, as long as it remains true to bringing kids out of poverty and giving a chance for people to create something for their families through cricket locally in Pakistan will always be the best league in that regard. And the last thing that hammers this point home, PSL 3, when PSL 3 happened, I was speaking to Aqib Javed at Lahore Qalandars, and he was telling me they had 160,000 people come for tryouts, 160,000 just in Lahore. And I said, how come that happened? He said, season 1, we asked the clubs to send a player each. And so they all sent the son of the president or the captain or the richest kid. And there was no meritocracy. It was all about, it was all Pachi. Season 2, we said send 2 players, and we got the same problem. So season 3, we said anybody can come. We don't care who you know, which club you play for. Everybody gets a chance. And 160,000 people lived the dream just for that one team, right? So if you multiply that by 6 teams, that's 1 million people. If you multiply that by the people that are too old to do it anymore but would have loved to when they were younger, that's 10 million people. If you multiply that by the people that couldn't come because they had to still go to work that day, that's 50 million people that are now living the dream and the opportunity of what the PSL provides. The IPL, you want to play IPL? The IPL couldn't give a shit about you the day after you've hit the last ball or whatnot. There's young kids at Quetta who have played a season of PSL and didn't get a game, and Nadeem Omar has employed them or sponsored them to get a job or something so that they didn't get spat out by the system. They use the system as a stepping stone to believe in themselves and create something for their families and villages and whatnot. That is such a powerful thing. And I'm so in love with that, Faizan. And it's something that really attracts me to what the PSL is about. And, you know, I feel there's almost a spiritual connection, which sounds stupid, to what's going on there. Because you speak to Ali, I went with Ali Khan Tareen to some of the schools, the girls' schools he's sponsoring in Lodran in South Punjab. And through cricket, he's creating an opportunity for families to get out of poverty. You speak to Nadeem, he doesn't like to talk about it. But when you get in talking, he will openly tell you, I said, I heard you sponsor 100 clubs. He says, 120. Like, but he doesn't brag about it. He does it because he feels it's the right thing to do, right? And so, you know, Javed Afridi is doing some things in the north and he doesn't talk about. And this is the stuff. Like, this is nation-building stuff. And I don't think people have understood that. They see the cricket, but they're not seeing what the cricket is, the platform to actually lift a nation that's had a really hard time. And that's my attraction to it.
Dennis, you also spoke about how Aqib Javed informed you about the Lahore Qalandars program. I mean, how do you see such a program? Every year, 160,000 kids appearing in a talent hunt program. They are being selected and they are given opportunity to travel to Australia and play league matches. They are given opportunity to play to Abu Dhabi and play matches. And best of them are selected for Pakistan Super League squad. Haris Rauf is one of the example. He emerged from same talent hunt program. He was picked for Lahore Qalandars development squad. I mean, how do you see these type of?
It's amazing. I spoke to Abdul Qadir's son when at NCA 2017, just before he was going to fly with the junior Qalandars to go to Sydney and play some games. That's 2017. March 2018, I went to PSL 3 in Dubai, and I was there with a guy called Nick Cummins, who at that time was the general manager of Sydney Thunder and Cricket Tasmania, where Haris Rauf plays. And Nick had seen him and said, we'll support you, right? So the Pakistani teams are reaching out and finding ways to grow. I just think the way it creates opportunities for these kids is phenomenal, right? And Pakistan has a rich history of just pulling people off the street and turning them to heroes. Umar Gal, Wasim Akram was pulled off the street from, these guys. There's so many of them. You can't do that in Australia, and you definitely can't do that in England. It's a rich man's sport in England. In Australia, it's a street sport like in Pakistan. But to make it to the top, it's a hard slog. Whereas Pakistan, there's this flame, this glimmer of hope that anybody can win the golden ticket. Just be seen at the right time. They go to tryouts and their 3 balls that they bowl or the 3 balls that they face, they just happen to have a really good time. And some coach sees that and says, come back tomorrow, and then you do it again. And all of a sudden you're in a squad and you're flying to Sydney. Like,
Yeah.
that's a dream, right? And it's the only league
And
that provides.
within 20 months, we are playing for Pakistan. I mean,
it's crazy.
You can't ask for more. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Dennis, you have been very active on social media as well, and you have been tweeting about everything on Pakistan and Pakistan cricket. How do you see responses of Pakistan cricket fans on social media? Do you think Pakistani fans are a little bit bitter towards the cricketers?
Bitter? Did you say?
Yeah. Bitter, brutal.
I think the way I try and explain it like this is Pakistan, India, subcontinent, cricket is number one. In Australia and England, South Africa, New Zealand, cricket is not the number one sport. The football codes are the number one sport.
Yeah.
So if you go on Twitter now in Australia, because all the football codes are getting towards the finals, rugby, Australian football, soccer, you get the same type of tweets from Australians to footballers that Pakistanis do to cricketers. Absolutely.
Really? Do they receive same sort of personal attacks as Pakistani cricketers get from supporters?
Absolutely. Yeah, people are people. Faizan, you know, at the end of the day, forget where we're brought up or forget where we live, the colour of our skin, which God we think is the right God, whatever. At the end of the day, we're all still driven by the same shit as people. We look after our families, we look after our friends. We're emotive creatures, and we like to yell and scream at things that we believe in. And so for me, when I watch my football team, I'm not having a good day when they lose and I have a good day when they win. And it's no different to a Qualanders supporter. They only have bad days, obviously. But maybe a Multan supporter has more good days. You know, you ride the wave like that. This is the beauty of sport. This is what sport brings. And so on social media, forget even cricket. Look at politics. Totally logical, mature, educated people. When you start talking about politics, so you know it's a human thing. I don't think it's a sporting thing or just a national thing.
Okay, you have been visiting Pakistan a lot of times, and in fact a couple of times, and you have very good friends in Pakistan. Have you got to learn any Urdu words, any Urdu sentences other than abusive words?
I think in any culture, the first words you learn are the ones that you should never learn. So I have a good repertoire. That's a French word, repertoire of words in Urdu. I can count: ek, do, teen, panch, char,
and then panch.
Yeah. I can say kya dekh rahe?
Oh, right.
Because I learned that one in India because people would follow you, so I have to turn around and go kya dekh rahe with some.
And you can also sing some Pakistani songs as well, yes? No? Can you?
Yeah, but I don't know what they mean. Like Dil Pakistan.
You must have done a couple of times.
I know Inshallah, Mashallah,
your
Dil Pakistan.
That video of you singing Dil Pakistan went viral like anything. It was on headlines. It was everywhere.
Yeah, when are they going to pay me royalties for this?
Anyway, you should be paying for it.
Yeah, I think
in Pakistan it's other way around.
The most important word I learned, Faizan, was from a very close friend, and they said you need to learn the word bivvy.
Right. You cannot forget that word, yes.
I don't have any.
You cannot afford to forget it.
I don't understand. You know, you speak to Shadab Khan, you speak to all these young guys, and they show you, even still to this day, Emmett Shazad, they show you their Instagram messages, female, 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 female. I showed them my Instagram messages. It's a man, no bivvies, none. How come? Why?
BB means wife. BB means wife.
Yeah, I've been using Fair and Lovely all my life, and I thought it would help, but it's not working.
Anyways, thanks for your time, Dennis, and it was always a pleasure talking to you. And hopefully, we'll be catching up soon, and hope to see you in Pakistan once again. Thanks for your time, and viewers, आपको डेनिस का सेशन कैसा लगा? ऑफ कोर्स आप इसी चैनल पे अपने कमेंट्स में आगाह कर सकते हैं, और आगे भी किस तरह की वीडियोस आपको देखती हैं उसके हवाले से भी अपने मशवरों से और अपनी राय से मुझे आगाह करते रहिएगा। देखने का शुक्रिया।